From the experience of the greatest exorcist in the world to an Irish knight who saw everything, here are the top 5 real people who saw the devil and lived to tell about it. Number 5 on this list is Bill Wiese. Now, it's unclear whether or not Bill saw the devil specifically, but he came pretty damn close. Bill is the writer of a book called 23 Minutes in Hell, which, as you guys can imagine, is his story of how he spent 23 minutes in hell. Wikipedia says Wiese states that he had been a Christian since 1970 but had never studied hell before his experiences on the night of November 22nd, 1998. According to the book, Wiese, then a real estate broker, found himself in a cell approximately 15 feet high and 10 feet by 15 feet in area where there were 2 foul-smelling beasts, personifications of evil and terror, who spoke in a blasphemous language. Wiese says that the creatures had strength approximately 1,000 times greater than a man's strength. Wiese states that he had heard the screams of the billions of damned people in hell. He states that he encountered Jesus, who told him to tell other people that hell is real. Wiese states that his first experience ended with him lying on the floor of his living room screaming in horror. Pretty frightening experience, and one that's changed Bill's life forever. Number 4 on this list is Marcus Stanek. Marcus Stanek claims that he saw the devil for real when he was only 10 years old. Back in 1982, Marcus was only 10 and he lived out in a farm in Missouri. His quiet little farm lifestyle was pretty much anything a kid could want. Even though his family had him put in a lot of work to keep things going, he had acres upon acres to run and play and do everything that a growing kid should love to do. One afternoon, he was doing just that. A few kilometers from the main farm was a forest. He would often go here when he had a long time to play. In that forest was a stream that cut through, and by the stream, Marcus had built himself a little fort, something that he'd been working on all that summer. When he got there that day, though, it wasn't how he left it. He arrived to his fort in a chipper spirit, but quickly realized something wasn't quite right. His fort was ravaged, completely destroyed. It looked like something big had come through here and purposely wrecked it. And weirdest of all, there was this black liquid, almost sludge-looking substance that was on the remnants of his fort. He began to investigate, but suddenly everything went extremely cold. The air grew thick and there was a massive presence that appeared. Roughly 10 feet in front of Marcus was a dark, shadowy creature with black robes on, levitating above the ground. Bright red eyes pointed out of its shadowy face. The second he made eye contact with the being, he was no longer in control of his actions. His body wasn't his anymore. He fought for a while and tried to resist, but his body couldn't hold up and he blacked out. He woke up to a flashlight in his face and his mother's frantic voice calling out to him. It was hours later and he had been laying in the forest completely out cold since the encounter. He told his family about it, but they didn't quite believe him. They thought it must have just been a big animal that had frightened him. Marcus always knew, though. That day he had seen the devil in person, and for some reason, it had let him live. Number 3 on this list is The Vision of Tundale. The Vision of Tundale is actually a book that details the accounts of an Irish knight. This knight took a trip to hell for 2 days, and I can promise you aren't going to find his itinerary on TripAdvisor anytime soon. In his trip to hell, he discovered that the devil is clearly very hungry. The devil has it all laid out so that people are cooked into a stew. They're done so in many different ways, but the biggest method for cooking these humans is by throwing them into giant frying pans with hundreds of other humans and cooking them until they're burned to death. Think that's bad though? Well, it gets a lot worse, guys. There are demons that are constantly running around hell with the specific mission of harming and causing pain to the human souls, killing them by cutting them into pieces and then using their powers to bring them back to life just so they can cut them into pieces again. It's brutal, and it's what this place is doing all the time. Then there's the actual devil himself, or what this Irish knight thinks could have been the devil. Acheron is this giant monster that eats thousands of humans at a time. He's so big that these humans just fall into the deep pit that's his stomach and then get eaten by other beasts that are down there. vipers and creatures that live inside this devil's stomach and wait to feast on these humans. If Acheron truly is the devil, then I highly recommend enjoying your time on Earth, because what comes next doesn't sound like the best time, folks. Number 2 on this list is Anne Catherine Emmerich. Anne Catherine Emmerich was born in 1774 and died in 1824, and she had quite a rough life while she was alive. During her time on Earth, she was constantly riddled with visions of hell. She saw so much of what is to come to those that sin that it felt as if she was living in hell while she was on Earth. Apparently, hell is similar to what we've conventionally drawn up, but it isn't exactly how we've pictured it. According to Anne, hell is a city. Not a pristine and beautiful one, of course, a burned down, disgusting city. Like a city that's just been through a horrible battle and all that stands are the ruins of it. Running through that city are also some swamps. These swamps are home to horrible creatures that are always hungry, and you and your soul, they're on the menu. The most notable creatures to live here are snakes. They will slither out of their swamps and attack those who are in the city, so you always have to be careful. People are always screaming and fire is always burning, but the loudest and most uncomfortable scream comes from the devil himself. Anne saw the devil, and he was chained up in the middle of the city. Yeah, that's right guys, apparently the devil himself is locked down here and screaming all the time to be set free. Which at this point, he might actually be. Anne said that she found evidence in her visions that the devil would be released upon the world of the living before the year 2000. Hate to break it to you guys, but it's currently 2022, so if Anne was telling the truth, then it's very possible the devil is already out and about. And finally, number 1 on this list is Father Gabriele Amorth. Father Gabriele Amorth, an expert when it comes to exorcisms, somebody with the capability of purging a demon over video chat, has come face to face with the devil. Being in the exorcism business means that you're going to be dealing with demons and devilish creatures pretty regularly. On one specific occasion, one that Father Gabriele Amorth will never be able to forget, he believes he saw the actual devil. The New York Post writes, in 1997, when a young, slim peasant man was escorted into the small room where Father Gabriele Amorth conducted his exorcisms in Rome, the priest felt immediately confronted by evil. Amorth said he asked for the help of Jesus, and the young man began to curse and spit using English instead of his native Italian. Amorth bellowed, "Whoever you are and all your companions who possess this servant of God, I command you, tell me your name, the day and the hour of your damnation." The man fixed him with a glare and snarled, "I am Lucifer." It was obviously at this point where Father Gabriele Amorth knew he was dealing with something pretty serious. The Post goes on to describe how, in return, the demon resumed his shrieks, making the possessed turn his head back and his eyes roll. He remained like this with his back arched for a quarter of an hour. As this continued, the room became extremely cold and ice crystals formed on the windows and the walls. As Amorth continually commanded the demon to leave the host, the young man's body stiffened so much that he became hard and began to levitate. For several minutes, he remained hovering 3 feet in the air. Finally, the man dropped into a chair. Amorth said he left for the day but continued to regularly visit the man and pray over him until he was met with no resistance. Amorth died back in 2016, but during his life he had performed tens of thousands of exorcisms. This is a man who has seen it all when it comes to demons and anything from hell. The fact that this one exorcism sticks out to him as being the moment he knew he'd seen the devil makes me believe it to be true. That overwhelming sense of evil that the room was filled with, I can't imagine how that must have felt. Part of me wants to know just so I can experience it as well, but as the father would go on to describe, moments like this when you come face to face with evil as dark as that, it changes you as a person forever. It happened to him, and I imagine if you or I saw the devil in person, it would happen to us as well. But there you have it, guys. That is our list of the top 5 real people who saw the devil and lived to tell about it. Please let me know in the comments down below what you thought about this list and some other stories about people that you know who have seen the devil. Also, please hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your host, Nicholas Playlog, and I'll catch you next time.